For years, Jefferson Township Public Schools has been significantly impacted by Senate Bill S2 and a flawed funding formula. Additionally, the Highlands Act hinders the ability to develop new residential communities and businesses that would help to increase our enrollment and offset the tax burden of the residents. Despite careful planning over the last 9 years, the district must evaluate our programs, services, and supports that fall outside of what the New Jersey Department of Education considers a thorough and efficient education.
Good evening. I'm from Senator Bucco's office, and I'm here to say a few words on his behalf and provide everybody an update on how our office is handling this important issue. The Senator wishes to express his regret that he could not be here tonight and appreciates the opportunity to remain engaged despite being out of state. Since this issue was first brought to his attention, Senator Bucco has had productive meetings with the mayor, the superintendent, and school leadership. He has spoken to the governor's office and the Department of Education. He is currently in the process of scheduling a meeting with the Department of Education to review Jefferson's financial status. He wants everyone to know that Jefferson is not alone in this situation. While the school funding formula has been fully funded through the state, the formula does not adequately address the school district's needs. When you combine the formula with Jefferson's position in the Highlands, it exacerbates the issue even further. Senator Bucco has spoken with the current commissioner and the incoming commissioner of the Department of Education, who have both acknowledged the problem and committed to sit down to find a solution. Jefferson is a top priority for the senator, and he will continue to stay on it until the matter is resolved. We understand your frustrations, concerns, and fears and share them too. Our office is always open for anyone who wants to reach out, ask questions, or share concerns as we continue working together to find a solution. Thank you.
And this is from Assemblywoman Ora Dunn. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of tonight's important conversation. I regret that I am unable to attend in person, but I appreciate you sharing these remarks with Jefferson community on my behalf. I want to begin by expressing my strong support for Jefferson Township students, educators, and families. I have been closely following the challenges facing the district, and I know that the impacts of the current school funding formula are not abstract or theoretical. They are being felt directly in classrooms, staffing decisions, and the programs that families value. Jefferson's experience highlights a broader problem with how New Jersey's funding system is functioning today. For communities like Jefferson, particularly those in the Highlands region, state policy has created a difficult and unsustainable reality. The Highlands Act permanently limits development and ratables in order to protect drinking water for millions of New Jerseyans. That is a vital public service provided to the entire state, and it must come with a corresponding state responsibility. When the state mandates land preservation, caps local revenue through levy limits, and then allows school aid to decline sharply, districts are left with no realistic way to absorb the loss without impacting students. That is not sustainable, and it is not fair. I have consistently opposed the deep aid cuts imposed under the current formula and have worked to reverse them. I am also actively evaluating policy solutions, including a temporary hold harmless approach to stabilize school funding while broader reforms to the School Funding Reform Act are considered. Abrupt funding cliffs undermine schools. That happens. The state has an obligation to step in. I am grateful to the students, parents, and educators and residents who are speaking out and sharing their experiences. Your voices matter, and your advocacy strengthens my efforts in Trenton. Please know that I remain fully committed to fighting for fair, predictable, and responsible school funding. Funding that recognizes both educational needs and the unique role Highlands communities play in protecting statewide resources. I encourage you all to remain engaged with me on this issue or any other. Thank you again for your leadership and for convening this important discussion. I also have a prepared statement from Assemblywoman Dr. Marissa Sweeney. I am sorry that I cannot be with you in person this evening, but I want you to know how deeply I value the voices of the teachers, students, and parents gathered here tonight. Your willingness to come together and share personal testimony about what adequate school funding means for Jefferson speaks to the strength and commitment of this community. I was just sworn in as your Assemblywoman this week, And one of my highest priorities is making sure our schools have the resources they need to serve every student. I am fully aware of the budget crisis Jefferson is facing, and I want to be clear that I am actively working on this issue. I have been in direct conversation with leadership at the New Jersey Department of Education, with colleagues in Trenton, and I have engaged legal and budget experts to closely examine the numbers so we can understand how the situation developed and what solutions are possible. While I am new to this role, my commitment to Jefferson is unwavering. I am here to listen, to advocate, and to fight for fair and sustainable school funding. Your stories matter, and they help guide the work I am doing on your behalf. Please know that my door is open. I welcome phone calls, meetings, and continued communication, and I promise to keep you informed as I learn more. Together, we will work toward solutions that protect our students, support our educators, and strengthen this community. Thank you for your time, your courage, and your advocacy.
Well, good evening, everybody. While I have some talking points, I really wanted to kind of speak from the heart. I consider myself a hometown boy. You don't run for mayor for the fame and notoriety, especially not the pay. I ran for a love of my community. I'm a true hometown boy. 1982 graduate, 61 years old. I know I look good for 60, thank you. Both my girls graduated from here. It's my daughter's scarf from soccer. Joined the fire department at 18, became a fire chief at 25, joined the police department in 1986, served 31 years, retired as a deputy chief of police. Never had any intentions of being mayor, but again, I did so out of a love for my community. I don't have to explain why we're here tonight. It's clear. We are beyond crisis mode. We've all been hearing about the cuts for many years, 7, 8 years now. When I first became mayor in 2019, I remember being here in this cafeteria with Gene and many others to start a letter writing campaign because it was the beginning of the cuts. We were just starting to see what the impact might be. And now here we are, 7 years later, $48 million in loss of school funding with another $4.8 million next year that we're going to be short. We are beyond crisis mode. It's great to see everybody here. I applaud you all for being here, but we need more. I've been going around to anybody that will listen to me for the last 7 years as mayor, saying how much the Highlands Act as a law has had an impact on us as a community. I'll talk about it to anybody who will listen. I've even had people say, Mayor, I'm tired of you talking about the Highlands Act. You want to blame the Highlands Act because you keep raising our taxes. No. The Highlands Act, while I am all for preserving water and beautiful open spaces, this whole area, this was my playground. I rode motorcycles over, don't tell anybody, but over in the county park. I can admit that now the statute of limitations are over. And, you know, I love being able to hike. We're building trails. Former Mayor Felter's back there helping me build trails in our community to promote ecotourism because that's all we got. We have no more ratables. We can't build anything, which is great if you love open space. It's bad if you want to save money on your taxes because I got nothing to offset it with. You know, I hear people complain about, oh, well, you're opening all these marijuana dispensaries. I started the DARE program in Jefferson Township, okay? I am not a marijuana advocate, sorry if you are, but that was not one of my things. I had to have a soul-searching moment about that to decide, it's legal. And I had a cannabis attorney who said to me, Mayor, get over it. It's legal. And if you don't do it, some other town's going to benefit from the revenue. We need the revenue. I hate to say it, but we need the revenue. And this is an exact reason why we're here. We're losing money as a result of the Highlands Act, a direct result of the Highlands Act. In 2004, think about what we were doing as a school district. We were building onto our schools. We were adding additions. We built the new gym here at the high school onto most of our schools. because we were busting at the seams. The Peaks development was coming in. Water's Edge was just completed. And in 2004, that all stopped. And there was nothing else on the planning board for new development, commercial or residential. So what happened? Slowly, our population decreased. People were not moving out. Seniors were staying in place. We had new families coming in. And it was a perfect storm. I call the Highlands Act a death by 1,000 cuts, because that's what's happening to us. Us and communities like us, we're 88% in the Highlands Preservation Area. West Milford's 100% in the Highlands Preservation Area. They had some development already on the books, and that's finishing out. They're going to be in the same position we are. They're feeling the impacts as we speak. What we're seeing today is not a result of mismanagement. You're hearing about other school districts, and having funding problems, many of which is mismanagement. That is not the situation we are in. I've worked with these people. I've met with these people. I've known Jean since she was the assistant principal back in the middle school. They've done everything they can to try to save our schools in some way, shape, or form. And it's not our fault. And Trenton needs to realize that, and I thank Senator Bucco's chief of staff for being here. I spoke with him over the weekend and relayed exactly that. The governor's office realizes that S2 school funding, there are problems, major problems all over the state, and it doesn't jive, it's not compatible with the Highlands. We get no credit for being in the Highlands Preservation Area, and that has to change. Now, whether Trenton has the appetite to do it, I don't know, but that's where you come in. You have to, it's not enough to sit at home on a keyboard and blast out on social media posts. You have to pound the governor's office, the different committees. We had a meeting today with Assemblywoman Dunn. We're going to be posting all the new committee chairs, Education Committee, Budget Committee. These people don't represent us directly, but they need to hear our voices. They are the decision makers in Trenton. The new governor, who just sworn in today, needs to hear from you. Okay? I'm trying to do my part. I will advocate for my community 1,000 times over, and that's what I've been doing. So we all need to get, I've said the word, but there's children in here, ticked off. And if you're not ticked off, you need to get ticked off, and you need to get your neighbors ticked off. And we need to have our voices heard, because this will not stop. It will only get worse, right? So the future of our community is at stake. And if you think, well, I don't have kids in the school system, I'm a senior, doesn't matter to me. Baloney. When people want to come to Jefferson, they want to buy a house in Jefferson, what is the first thing, any community, what's the first thing they look at? What are the schools like? It's a selling point for your home. So when the schools start to degrade, people aren't going to come, and your house is not going to be worth what it was at one time. So it's having a direct impact, regardless if you have children in schools, you almost have children in schools, or you don't, like myself, right? You need to get involved, because this is going to impact our community in so many ways. What Jean's been talking about, and the cuts that could possibly come, I can't imagine, and it may be reality. So I thank you all for being here tonight. Please, 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 it's not enough just to sit on the sidelines. We got to get involved, and that means all of us. We need your help. And me as a mayor, and my administration, Melissa's going to talk after me, another hometown girl over there. We're in partnership, right? Well, Jean doesn't tell me what to do, and I don't tell her what to do. We're separate forms of government. We're in lockstep and have been for a very long time. So please get involved. And I'm sorry I went over the 3 minutes. Thank you.
Well, I'll be quick, because he said half the stuff that I was going to say. But a couple weeks ago, I went down to Trenton, and I testified in front of the State Board of Education. You had to bring down 4 copies of your speech, and there was 3 of them there, and all 3 of them had no idea what I was talking about. that about our funding being cut or things like that. I listed everything that is going to be cut, and they were kind of just staring at me. And then the best is most of them down there don't understand about 88% in the Highlands. Just like the mayor said, we can't build anymore. That was the nighttime deal. That was always the joke, and my husband and I still joke about it. We all woke up one day and the Highlands Act was there, and we all said, what is this and how is it going to affect us? Well, it's beating us right now, really bad. As a graduate myself, my 4 kids are graduates. What really got to me, and some of you may know me as Missy Haybauer, because I love sports. I love softball. I love basketball. My plaque is down that hallway, and every time I come here, my husband makes fun of me because there I'm like, there I am, there I am, there I am. Oh, my sister's there. There's my sister. So for me, the sports aspect of this and the special education aspect of this is really non-negotiable. I mean, if you knew me back in high school and somebody told you that I was going to be up here and be on council, they'd be like, Missy Haybauer? No way. She doesn't talk that much, doesn't say anything. But because I played sports and because I was with the sportsmanship with the girls and the camaraderie with my teammates, I mean, there's times I can still see Michelle right here that I played ball with forever. There's just a friendship that you have that you will never, ever lose, ever. So these things are special, and I know all the parents that have your gear on, you have gear on because you participate and help and encourage your kids. So I'm not going to let any of this go. Like the mayor said, we met with Dunn. She's going to tell me where I need to be, when I need to be there to testify for the legislator and anybody else I need to talk to, because this cannot happen in Jefferson. And especially as now with town council, like the mayor said, this is affecting the town, not just the school. This is a town problem. So you have our support down at town council 100%. Whatever we need to do, we're going to be there for you guys. And for the town itself, I'm just not going to take no for an answer as J-Town strong, like we always goof, like we're not taking it as parents. This is not going to happen to our kids. As a parent with a child that special needs and only just got done at school of 21 in June, you know, $775,000 is being cut from our special education. Well, how are we going to meet our kids' IEP needs? How's that going to happen? These cuts just are just not feasible, and we need to, as the mayor said, band together. We have great resources. Senator Bucco is behind us 100%, and we have the 2 assemblywomen that are just going to kill it for us, and everybody is on board. So we need everybody to come up with a phrase. We need posters made because we are going to be going down to Trenton and making a ruckus. That's it. That's what we're going to do. So thank you, everybody.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stephanie Vislowski. Like many of you, I am both a parent in this district and a staff member in our schools. I am here tonight to advocate for fair funding for our district from 2 deeply personal perspectives. First and foremost, I'm here as a parent fighting for the education my daughter deserves. She was a student in our incredible pre-K program and was absolutely devastated when she learned that Cozy Lake Elementary School was closing. It was her favorite place in the world. Beyond the emotional impact, the potential cuts raise serious logistical concerns. If courtesy busing is eliminated, I may be forced to leave my job simply to get my child to school. I currently work at the high school and she attends before care locally. Would she be expected to walk from daycare across Berkshire Valley Road and up Ridge Road during morning rush hour just because it technically falls within the mile limit? Since entering kindergarten, my daughter has had wonderful teachers who do their very best with what they have. However, I know she is not receiving the same level of services as students in other districts across the state. For example, as a librarian, I'm going to talk about the library program, I might be biased, but research consistently shows that schools with certified librarians see higher test scores and increased student engagement in reading. Due to budget cuts, there are no longer certified school librarians in our elementary buildings. There is no one who has been trained to curate collections, guide students to books they love, or deliver the rich STEM lessons that were once offered. I'm also incredibly grateful for our school social workers and guidance counselors who provide essential social emotional lessons on conflict resolution, kindness, and emotional well-being, services our children desperately need. But these supports are also stretched thin. And if after-school clubs and programs are eliminated, my daughter will lose access to the interest-based opportunities that help students discover who they are and what they love. In addition, the current pay-to-play structure has discouraged students from participating in clubs and sports, even those who are deeply interested. Every child deserves access to extracurricular opportunities that help them grow into well-rounded young adults who can confidently make decisions about their futures. I already find myself worrying about what her middle school or intermediate school and high school experience will look like if this situation isn't fixed. And while I hate to admit it, I have even begun considering whether I can continue sending her to school in this district. Not because I don't trust the people here. I know how deeply our staff care about our students, and I know how limited their resources have become. In a state as wealthy as New Jersey, I simply cannot understand how our children are not receiving equitable educational opportunities. I urge you to fight for fair funding for our schools, for our children, for our educators, and for the future of our community. To be blunt, the possible budget cuts will destroy our schools. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Peggy Widgren, and I am the proud principal of Jefferson Township Intermediate School. Finding the right words to describe the impact of the S2 budget cuts and the inequities of the state funding formula is difficult because the numbers alone don't tell the story. Over the past several years, Jefferson Township has lost millions of dollars in state aid, while operating costs have significantly increased. This has left the district and the town of Jefferson managing an impossible financial burden. Looking ahead makes these inequities even more alarming as we have reached the financial cliff. Next year, we are anticipating a projected $4.8 million budget shortfall. That reality leaves us all deeply concerned about both the short and long-term effects on our students as well as our community. This shortfall may result in class sizes exceeding 32 students, significant cuts to student support services, cuts to athletics and extracurricular programs, and the possibility of a loss of our courtesy busing. All services that our families rely on and support student engagement, safety, and well-being. In a little over 5 years as a principal, I have seen the effects of these cuts firsthand through emergency evacuations due to facilities malfunctions and aging infrastructure. I have seen increased class sizes, reduced academic supports, fewer administrators across the district, and mounting unfunded state mandates. Last year, to address the continued lack of state funding, our district made the painful decision to close an elementary school, Cozy Lake, and reconfigured the district, dramatically increasing the school's capacity with fewer resources and substantial reductions to staff. And yet, we are making it work. Not because the situation is acceptable or even manageable, but because of the people. So tonight, instead of focusing only on what we've lost, I want to focus on gratitude. Yeah, gratitude. I am grateful to our custodians and maintenance staff who have moved hundreds of students and staff and entire classrooms without additional support. I am grateful to our secretaries, counselors, child study team members, nurses, paraprofessionals, hall monitors, security personnel, cafeteria staff, and transportation staff, each of whom goes above and beyond every single day to keep our children thriving and safe. I am grateful to our teachers who have adjusted to new classrooms, new grade levels, new curricula, and larger class sizes, often using their own resources while never losing sight of their students. I am grateful to my assistant principals, supervisors, fellow principals, and central office leadership who have made impossible decisions with honesty, courage, and care. Everyone I just mentioned comes to work each day doing what is best for our children, often while worrying about the future of their own jobs. While I appreciate the state's attempts to ease the burden of these unfair and inequitable funding practices, relying on the local taxpayers to compensate for these shortcomings is not a solution. True change requires fixing the formula and providing relief for our communities affected by the Highlands Act, so districts like ours can provide the education our students need, not just deserve. Tonight, you will hear from many voices. I hope you also hear the gratitude, resilience, and determination of a community doing everything it can despite the odds. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your continued support of our schools.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm a mom of 3 here in Jefferson. Within my own household, I see the impact of the funding limitations firsthand. My children have required different types of supports at different times, access to RTI and intervention services, opportunities for advanced and gifted learning, and for one of my children, consistent access to a school nurse and health supports due to a medical condition. These supports are not optional. They are what allow children to safely participate in school and to succeed. Sorry. And this range of needs exists just in one household. Like many students in Jefferson, my children work very hard, not only in the classroom, but also on the field and on the mat. Athletics are not separate from education. They are a part of it. They teach discipline, resilience, teamwork, leadership, and accountability. For many students, sports are what keep them engaged, motivated, and connected to school. Our gyms and fields are full every night with youth and rec teams and volunteer parents and coaches. That speaks to how deeply athletics are woven into the culture of Jefferson. They do this with hopes of earning college opportunities and scholarships that can make higher education financially possible. Programs that support academics, athletics, and well-rounded development are not extras for families like ours. They are pathways to opportunity. And that is not a pipe dream, and I know this from experience. My husband and I both received and earned college scholarships tied to our passions. Those opportunities helped our blue-collar parents afford to send us to college. That education, both academic and extracurricular, paved the way for a life we lead today, a life for which we are both proud and still deeply grateful to our parents and to the schools that invested in us early. When funding formulas like S2 fail to reflect the true needs of our community, the consequences extend far beyond the classroom. Cutting sports, health supports, enrichment programs, etc., does not save education, it only weakens it. Investing in education means investing in the whole child. Anything less limits potential and undermines the very purpose of education. I really urge this town to advocate fiercely for fair funding, to challenge formulas that do not serve communities like Jefferson, and to protect the programs that help our students thrive. Our children deserve more than survival, they deserve an opportunity. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marcus Thompson. I am an educator here in this building. I also am a coach. I have 3 kids in this district, 2 of whom are seniors, and I have an 8th grader. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. I kind of want to apologize for my appearance. I have not been at home since I arrived this morning at 5:50 this morning. I have a group of flag football players who diligently show up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 6 o'clock in the morning to do weight training to prepare for their season. After that, I had midterms. Then I'm a class of 2026 officer. We had a meeting right after school to discuss the prom. They were pretty excited about that. I went right to high school basketball practice here, and then at 7:15 I'll be down in the gym again for travel basketball practice. So I'm a pretty connected member of this community. Most days, like today, I don't leave this school because I love this school. So during my time in this building today, I've been able to build many connections with students and colleagues. And that is really what I want to talk to you about tonight, building connections. It is those connections, those bonds that we build with students, with professionals in this building, and to a larger extent, this community. Those connections matter. I want you all to think about the first time you truly felt connected to something larger than yourself, something that you believed represented you or a shared belief. I would imagine that the first time came in high school, perhaps middle school even. The first time you felt connected to a teacher who you knew truly cared about you. The first time you joined student council, DECA, or the garden club. The first true feeling of connection where you knew the people you were with shared your same values, your morals, and your interests. Sure, there are other places of connection, home, church, scouts maybe. However, there is something special about the walls of your school building, that connection you felt the first time you walked into marching band rehearsal, chose your lacrosse jersey, or attended the robotics club meeting. You felt connected. It might have been the first time you truly felt like you belonged, you felt alive, and you felt like you. Those connections eventually made you who you are today. I know because you are sitting here right now, listening to the voices in this room. You are connected to this community. So much so that you've decided to run for office, or become an educator, or become an assemblyman or woman. To be a vessel of change in a town, in a community that you feel connected to. You were taught at a young age that when you are connected to something bigger than yourself, you must act to protect it at all costs. That is what we are at risk of losing. Our students deserve to feel the same connections we all did at their age. To connect to something they believe in, something they will wake up for at 5 o'clock in the morning, as my flag football athletes did today. We build community through connections. We build strength through those connections. We build trust, honesty, hard work, and empathy through those connections. We build critical thinking, resilience, and perseverance through those connections. Who would you be without those connections in your life? The teacher who stayed after school as the advisor of your favorite club. The one who fostered your love of writing, or teaching, or business, or community service. The coach who taught you to get up after failures on the court or on the field, that you can and you will succeed. Who would you be? Ask yourselves, can we afford to lose those connections for our children? This is what is at stake. We simply cannot afford to lose those opportunities for the students in this district to connect. It is too important. There has to be another way. There is another way. My faith will not allow me to give up on the idea that this is the only way. And you know what? Neither will yours. That's why you're here. I want to read a note from a student I received a few years ago. They've already graduated. Thank you for helping me express my passion for helping others who are in need. The work we have done in Project Stay Gold has truly taught me a lot about educating others and how to prevent such a life-threatening issue. This is when I was the advisor of a club called Project Stay Gold that brought attention to modern-day slavery and human trafficking. This student felt connected to something she believed in. She will continue to change lives and change the world. That club is no longer available in this building because of these budget cuts. The same opportunity that was afforded to this student is no longer there. We cannot allow this to happen. We have to fight for these connections, that our students can feel that they belong to this community and they can turn around and do the same thing in 30 years that you all are doing right now. Thank you for your time and this opportunity. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Desiree Nigro and I have 3 children in the district. I'm here tonight because I made my son a promise that I would not let his voice be ignored. The children in our system are already being affected by a failing system. I'm here for my 5th grade son. He's an awesome kid, but he can be lazy. He's the type of student that will just fly under the radar. With an overcrowded classroom, children like him will fall through the cracks because overwhelmed teachers are not going to be there to push them just as much as they need to pass. He loves sports, that's his outlet. Those are on the chopping block. When you remove a child that strives for something, what is left for his future? My 4th grader, the reason I'm standing here today. A few weeks ago, he overheard me talking about budget cuts related to his programs Gateway and Band. When he asked me what I meant, I had to tell him the truth. I watched as his expression didn't just change, it disintegrated. The light in his eyes, the smile on his face just disappeared. His chin decided to start trembling and he just started crying. And he asked why the things that he's good at, He's not great at sports, but he loves his academics. So I made that parent decision, and I promised him that I would not let it happen to him. I promised him that I would fight for him. I will not accept an education stripped to the bare bone while students in other districts get better opportunities simply because they're funded differently. Then there's my 4-year-old in pre-K. He's at the age where everything is a question and every day is a discovery. What is going to be left for him to discover in a bare bone minimum, not existent district? If we don't stop these cuts, we will never know what his potential was. We are closing through the doors to him being a musician, an athlete, an innovator, whatever he has inside of him. We are stripping away opportunities. New Jersey loves to boast that we have the best public education system in the nation. But these rankings are built on the very programs we're removing. You cannot claim the best while dismantling the foundation of our children's success. I do not accept the stance that Jefferson is wealthy enough, especially when the state can fund $10 million for a parking garage at one elementary school. If we can find millions for a parking garage, why can't we find millions for the children that are being stripped of their opportunities that define their future? We need the state to act now, not after an entire generation gets left out while the adults figure it out. I believe all students in New Jersey public school systems should be given fair and equal education, including in sports, clubs, band, gateway, and programs that allow them to thrive individually. So I ask that you please help us fight for their future, which is our future. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for hosting us here tonight. I'm a mother of 2 children at the intermediate school, and I'm a teacher at a high school outside of Jefferson. And it's nice to see everyone here tonight. It's unfortunate that it's coming as we reach the fiscal cliff, but I'm thankful for everyone's presence, and I hope that we will all go home and write to our new governor and write to everyone on the committees and on in the Senate to make the changes that we need for Jefferson. Our kids here are the future of New Jersey and the future of all America. I'm glad that we're taking notice, and maybe those in Trenton will finally see that S2 is nothing more than a redistribution of wealth, our wealth, which is a completely un-American solution for something like school funding. The cracks have been in this district for a while, 7-8 years. And for the first time, I feel like our school district is in real peril since Superintendent Howe said that our schools may need class sizes of 32, 33 and up, which my oldest daughter has a very large class up in that realm already, nearly that, and I know that it is difficult for her teacher. I feel terribly for them. And what if we cut high school sports? What family is going to move to Jefferson if our high school does not have sports? I'm all about academics, but students are well-rounded human beings, and sports and music are key to their entire experience of growing up. So I think that will put Jefferson Township into a death spiral, as the mayor said. Less families will move in, less students in the school, less state funding, and a smaller local tax base. If we think it's bad now, I fear that we're already seeing this in the music and band program, which I and others argue is just as important as the sports program, and we do not want that cut. In the merging the 4th and 5th grades into the middle school this year, forming the intermediate school, the 4th and the 5th grade band program is the responsibility of one now overworked band teacher instead of 2, and he has to also teach music classes. So he's basically doing the job of 2.5 teachers. Mr. Tiedemann is a canary in the coal mine for Jefferson. No matter how great he is, he's a great band teacher. I can see that my 4th grader has less instrument time than when my older daughter was in her place 3 years ago. Music is my kids' life. They are always playing their instruments. Now, this is not his fault. This was inevitable. Will the same thing happen to the rest of our subjects? Science, math, English, what's next? Music is wonderful for the brain. We all know this. Let's not let that die in Jefferson. This is an issue that's dear to my heart because my kids care about it. But what I care about is personally the coming tax increase. And Jefferson residents, New Jersey residents, Americans have been eviscerated by inflation since 2021. Real costs have risen, 40, 50%, but wages have not kept pace, and local taxes, local school taxes are supposed to be capped at 2%, but they've had to rise for healthcare cost increases, 3.5%, 6 and change last year, and we'll face this again. Governor Murphy eviscerated our town and other towns like us. We need to make sure that Governor Sherrill makes the changes, and if she doesn't rescind the S2 funding situation, we deserve to be compensated for being a Highlands Act district. We must ask this, as the mayor said, because we are providing clean water for the rest of the state. So Governor Sherrill, our kids and your future voter base deserve better. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Jamie Greeter. I am a graduate of Jefferson Township High School, and I am also the proud parent of a 5th grader and a 6th grader in this district. I am here tonight to express my concerns regarding the potential budget shortfall our district is facing. As a graduate of Jefferson Township, I was fortunate enough to participate in several extracurricular activities, most notably within the music department. I was involved in the band, including marching band, and even had the opportunity to audition for and participate in the Sussex County Band. These opportunities provided by Jefferson's music program allowed me to develop my talents to the point where I was able to join the New Jersey Army National Guard as a musician and proudly serve our state and our country for over 14 years as a member of the 63rd Army Band. What I've described is just one example of the life-changing opportunities that are at risk of being taken away from our students. Programs such as sports, music, and the arts are not just extras. They are just as important as academics in developing well-rounded, confident, and successful students. On the topic of education, my children have been part of the Basic Skills program for the past several years. The additional support they receive has been incredibly beneficial. Their grades have improved, but more importantly, their confidence has grown. My children do not qualify for an IEP or a 504 plan, yet this extra help has been exactly what they needed to succeed in the subjects where they struggled. Losing the teachers who provide this critical support would be a tremendous loss for students like my children, students who may not meet strict qualification criteria, but still need and deserve additional help. We are now facing the possibility of increased class sizes, reductions in staff and mental health professionals, and even asking students to walk along dangerous roadways instead of being safely transported by bus. These are not minor inconveniences. They directly impact the safety, well-being, and education of our children. It is time for our legislators to fully understand the real impact the state funding formula has had on our district. We are not asking for state-of-the-art facilities, parking garages, or upgraded cafeterias, things other districts have been able to receive due to increased state funding. We are simply asking for adequate funding to preserve the programs that matter, retain our dedicated teachers, both tenured and non-tenured, and continue providing our students with the education they deserve. Jefferson's tax dollars should stay in Jefferson to support Jefferson students. This is not a time to play politics with our children's future. This is a time to correct the course, fix the funding formula, and give our students the opportunity to be well-rounded, supported, and successful. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is London Chris Castle, and like many people here tonight, I'm here to share my story. If you know me, you probably know that I'm involved in a lot. I currently participate in 11 extracurriculars at the high school: marching band, GSA, NHS, French Honor Society, Tri-M, 2 choral ensembles, 2 band ensembles, fall drama, and spring musical. That's a pretty long list. That's a mountain of activities and a mountain of skills that I need. But when you strip away the titles and qualifiers, what you find at the core is simple. I'm a performer. But it didn't start that way. I transferred to Jefferson in 2021, starting my 7th grade year. And if you've never transferred schools, you might not know how isolating it can be, especially considering we were just coming out of COVID. I was lost. Making friends was hard. I didn't have defined interests that I shared with the people immediately around me, and I didn't know what I wanted for myself until I rediscovered my love for theater. That led me to chorus, chorus led me to band, band led me to Tri-M, and suddenly I realized I had a way to express myself through art and music. Each experience became another step upward toward confidence and purpose and closer to my full potential. Applying for the Multimedia Academy was another step. Exploring electives was another step. Joining clubs one at a time was another step. Standing here today is another step. I don't remember every class or practice or every rehearsal, but I will always remember the faces, the friends that I still see every day, the caring staff, the teachers who pushed me to act when all I wanted to do was disappear. Through these programs, I learned to sing, to play sax, to read, write, organize, analyze, compromise, to persevere, to speak in public. More than that, I learned how to belong. Everyone deserves that. I know from sitting in these meetings that this shortfall isn't mismanagement or malice. It's a culmination of circumstances larger than any one person, but that makes what we do now even more important. Because students deserve more than knowledge, book smarts. We deserve passion. Our teachers deserve the chance to inspire in the same way that many have inspired me. It's not a luxury, it's a chance. I know my strengths. I'm preparing for life beyond this school only because I was given guidance, a path upwards. But so many students, my 6 younger siblings included, are still at the bottom looking up. They've hardly begun their climb, and now the same path I was lucky enough to navigate is crumbling beneath them. We need to fight, because every student deserves the chance to take that first step towards a path that doesn't disappear halfway up. What we learn in class is not all of what we learn in life, and there is more to a student, to a child, than just academics. And there is certainly more to us than just money, more to this district than just our financial struggles. We care about our future, so I believe that we should continue to fight for it. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Pusateri, and I currently have 2 children in the Jefferson district and a third entering the preschool program next year. And while my children are just starting out at Jefferson, unlike a lot of people here who have been through the district, I just wanted to touch tonight on the importance of a well-rounded education for my children, for your children, and for the future of our district. A well-rounded education extends far beyond the classroom. Activities such as clubs, sports, arts, and music play a vital role in developing our students by fostering teamwork, leadership, creativity, resilience, and a sense of belonging. These experiences help our students discover their interests and strengths, build confidence, and develop social and emotional skills that directly support academic success and lifelong learning. Equally important is reliable busing, which ensures equitable access to these opportunities. In a community as geographically large and spread out as Jefferson, families rely on dependable busing for basic school attendance as well as extracurricular involvement. Transportation removes barriers for students who might otherwise be unable to participate due to the distance, family schedules, or financial constraints. As many of you know, our ability to maintain these essential programs has been challenged by the financial impact of New Jersey's S2 funding formula, impacts that have been felt especially hard here in Jefferson. Cuts don't just impact budgets, they impact our kids. When extracurricular programs lose funding, a student with anxiety loses the art class that helps them cope. A student who struggles academically loses the sport that keeps them motivated to come to school. A student without family transportation loses the ability to participate in a club that makes them feel like they belong. A student who feels isolated loses the music program that gives them purpose. Tonight, let's focus on what truly matters, preserving the full educational experience that our children deserve and the transportation our students and families rely on. Transportation is not a luxury, it's a matter of equity. We must continue fighting for fair funding. We must continue fighting to protect programs that make school meaningful to our children. Thank you to everyone here tonight for your commitment to our students, our schools, and our community.
I have two young daughters, ages 5 and 3. Both attend the district's preschool program. My oldest daughter is autistic and nonverbal and has been in the program for 2.5 years. The support she receives has made a huge difference in her life. Her teachers, therapists, aides work with her every day, and she has made real progress with communication. The school staff does far more than supervise children. They provide structured learning, one-on-one support, therapy, and constant progress monitoring. That kind of care takes skill, training, and stable staffing. That's why the proposed cuts are so concerning. These aren't just numbers in a budget. They affect real classrooms and real children. Larger class sizes, fewer staff, and reduced services will hit students with special needs the hardest. At the same time, families are already under pressure. Property taxes are rising, insurance, utilities, and groceries all cost more, everything costs more. Now families are being asked to accept school closures and fewer resources on top of that. It's also frustrating to see nearby districts receive more state funding than Jefferson, while Jefferson continues to lose support. This is a community that values education and works hard for its kids. It should not be falling further behind. If these cuts move forward, my family will have to seriously think about whether staying in New Jersey makes sense long term. In just the past 2 years, 3 families we know with kids the same age as ours have already left the state because of the cost and uncertainty. This is where the issue becomes unfair. Morris County is one of the strongest contributors to the state economy. In fact, it ranks 3rd out of 21 counties in economic output and tax revenue. Yet our schools are being cut while state lawmakers recently gave themselves a 67% pay raise. That's nice. Over the last decade, Jefferson's enrollment dropped about 29%, but the state funding dropped about 65%. That is imbalance. It's the result of a funding formula that many agree is flawed. We're not asking for special treatment, we're asking for fairness. We're asking for funding that reflects real needs and real costs so children, specifically those who need extra support, aren't the ones paying the price. Our kids deserve stability, our teachers deserve support, and our community deserves better. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Cabesco, and I'm here tonight as a parent of 2 current and 1 future Falcons student, and proud member of our community who is deeply concerned about the devastating impact our funding formula will have on our schools and, most importantly, on our children. First, the proposed cuts to busing are not just an inconvenience. They are frankly unworkable for many families, including my own. Many of us rely on school transportation to get our children to school while we maintain our jobs. And without adequate busing, parents will be forced into an impossible choice: our children's education or our livelihoods. Moreover, these cuts will strip our children of access to fundamental academic programs, extracurriculars, and sports. These are not extras, and they are not nice-to-haves. They are essential to providing a well-rounded education, setting up our students for potential scholarships, and of our critical importance to helping children develop skills, confidence, discipline, and interests that shape who they become academically, socially, and emotionally. These programs should not be a privilege, but a guarantee, particularly in a state that prides itself on having one of the best education systems in the nation. An additional implication of these budget constraints are larger class sizes and fewer resources, which will have catastrophic consequences. For many students, including one of my own children, individualized support is not optional. It is essential for growth, success, and safety. Lack of special education resources will deprive students of the necessary support for them to prosper and thrive, and I refuse to accept that as something that is simply optional. The implications of these lack of resources will further be compounded by overcrowded classrooms, making it harder for teachers to teach and for children to learn. Overcrowded classrooms are not just a barrier for learning, but they pose concerns about safety and the ability to maintain a safe learning environment. It is unreasonable to expect one teacher to be responsible for every action taking place in the classroom and to be equally invested in the physical, emotional, and mental well-being of such a large number of students. Which brings me to my next point. This ongoing instability will continue to drive talented educators away. We have seen many staff members depart and lost many to the school closures that have already taken place. And I would expect it to become difficult to retain the exceptional educators we have should these circumstances continue. We absolutely cannot expect excellence in our schools if we do not fund and support the professionals who make them strong in the first place. In this same vein, how can we expect enrollment to increase when our school system is crumbling? Families are not attracted to locating to a town where the school system is quite literally deteriorating year over year. And finally, it bears pointing out that we are already paying some of the highest property taxes in the country, which has often been justified by our school system. These tax dollars should ensure an education system that is fit for purpose and delivers on the promise of meeting the high standards other districts have been able to maintain with adequate funding. Right now, that promise is being broken. Our education system must prioritize supporting the learning, safety, and opportunity for every child in our community. And I implore all of us to advocate fiercely for a fair funding formula, one that reflects our contributions, protects our children, and invests in the future of our communities. Thank you.
My name is Scott Reed. I've been a resident of Jefferson for 48 years. I have been volunteering my time here with the youth of the community for the past 35 years, serving on recreation boards, coaching youth sports, and through my involvement at my church. As a child, I attended White Rock School, Jefferson Township Middle School, and the high school. My wife, Kim, has lived here her entire life. We've raised 5 children here. 4 of them have gone through Milton, Cozy, White Rock, middle school, high school, and graduated as Falcons. My youngest is currently in 6th grade and has been fortunate to be in the grade that has just narrowly escaped all of the detrimental logistical changes over the past few years that have negatively impacted our children. Changes that have occurred obviously as a result of our state aid cuts. So I wrote this and I sent it to my athletic director today because I wanted to speak about the effects on sports, and I asked him for any advice that he had for me. And because he knows me really well, the advice he gave me was just don't go off the script. So with that being said, as I sat there and listened to all these people come up and talk, all I could think of is I'm going off the script. As a coach here, so I'm the boys lacrosse coach, and as the coach here, we are wildly successful. And we are successful without a lot of what other places have. But we're successful because of the character of the kids that I get to coach. And we really live by 2 rules in our program. The first one is that everything is we over me. That is rule number 1. And the second one is that there is no excuse. There's just always a way for us to get better, to solve a problem, to win. That's what we do. We are in that position. And as I'm sitting there, I just really think that if I'm going to tell these kids, these 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, that those are the 2 most important things, then I better do it. And we better do it. Because we could all sit here and come up with a lot of reasons that things are the way they are. But if coming up with those reasons stops us from fighting to change it, we're making a big mistake. It's easy for a player to leave a game and say, oh, they were more athletic, they're more skilled, the weather was bad, the officiating was bad, oh, I wasn't feeling good. You can go through a whole list of things if you want to make excuses. And every one of those excuses does the same thing. Stops you from getting better. It stops you from believing that you're in control, and it stops you from doing something to change your situation. We need to change it. That's what we need to do. You being here tonight is great. This town has a lot more people in it than the ones that are in this room. And we need to get them involved. And we need to not make an excuse. We just need to find what the problems are, and we need to get after them. That's what we have to do. And when someone asks you to write a letter, write a letter. Someone asks you to go show up at something, show up at it. Someone asks you to make a sign, make a sign. Contact a congressman, contact a congressman. There's no excuse. We all have the time to do what's most important for our kids, and we all have the time to show those kids that we teach these lessons to, that we're going to do the same things that we preach to them. That's what we're going to do. This town is great. It is great. Part of the reason we're in the situation we're in, nobody leaves. Right? Like, nobody leaves. There's a great line, the only way you leave Jefferson is feet first down Berkshire Valley, right? Like, nobody leaves. And it's great. But there are so many people who have fought for us before we got to this point. Like, we need to honor that. We need to make it great for these young kids that are coming through, these young families that are coming through. I'm a year away from retirement. Great. But it's not me, right? It's all of us. We all have a different place in this town right now. So just in short, at the end of the day, if it is we over me, and we just constantly act for what is best for this entire community, for these kids, right? And we fight for them. Listen, I'll fight for that girl over there. Oh yeah, I'll fight for that girl, right? Like, so just put everybody else before ourselves, and whatever they need us to do, just do it, because these kids are worth it and this town is worth it. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kim Moss. I have taught in Jefferson since 2017, but I am not a Jefferson resident. And I came out in the cold tonight to talk to all of you about our kids, and you know how amazing the kids are. As a teacher, I can see daily how the school funding formula affects our students. For several years, the district has continued to lose millions of dollars in state funding, and we've talked about it as a district, and we've talked about it at our meetings. The number $45 million is sort of mind-boggling, because it's not as if we're not paying taxes. It's not as if we're not doing what we need to do to take care of our kids. It's hard to keep up with the students' needs with these types of losses. As a teacher, I've seen and mentored many colleagues who are not in the district anymore because the positions were eliminated. In fact, my position was eliminated last year as well, or changed. As staff members, we stretch to do the best for our students, but the budget issues are often felt. Whether it's that the copier isn't working, whether there's not enough materials, whether we're running out of paper at the end of the year, all kinds of things that you may not see and the kids may not feel, we feel. And we go and try to support on the other side of it. We'll go to the dollar store and try to find things for the kids that they need. We'll run out to the stores. We'll be ordering on Amazon. We'll be doing the things that they need because they are so important to all of us. The impact is not only on the teachers, but it's on the children as well. The projected increase in class size will be detrimental to our students, our young learners especially. Studies show that large class sizes, especially in the primary grades, have a negative effect on our students. According to Project STAR, which is a student-teacher achievement ratio run by a Harvard professor, which compared students' class sizes, students in smaller classes did significantly better on academic tests, and that difference persisted for years. Think about that. If you have a kindergarten class of 33, and that impact is not only felt for kindergarten, it's felt for 4 or 5 years, it's very hard to catch up when children fall behind. It's like trying to catch a moving train, but the train keeps going, okay? Our children deserve the attention, not only to their academics, but also to their emotional needs as well. We all want the Jefferson students to thrive in the competitive world as they grow up. I urge the community to continue to fight for these kids. Fair funding not only supports the kids, it supports the staff, but it supports all of you in the community as well. Strong schools support families, community property values, and allow us to invest in the best future for these children. Thank you.
I'm a mother of two and an active volunteer within my own community of West Milford. I am also one of the proud alumni of Jefferson, the class of 2006, which I saw a few of you here tonight. I had the privilege of attending this school before S2 funding formulas took effect and when student enrollment reached its peak. My husband and I were here when the school was being expanded, that you see over there called the Freedom Gym. Seems so different now. Because of this school, I've been able to succeed in a fulfilling career. I have my doctorate and know what it means to have a strong work ethic. Things like your STEM programs, after-school clubs, support services, athletics, and other programs like DECA help shape me into the person that I am today. As another speaker mentioned, it was the connection I made with some exceptional high school teachers that changed the complete trajectory of my life. At my daughter's preschool graduation, I came to find out that my town of West Milford was facing the same problems as Jefferson. We were also facing extensive budget cuts and ultimately had to close one of our elementary schools. This did not solve our problem. It simply closed the gap, marginally. Stabilization aid by closing and redistricting students did not fix the bigger issue. Trimming down personnel, cutting administration did not fix the bigger issue. Forming an education foundation and helping with enrichment is also not going to fix the bigger issue when the loss is greater than $45 million. Getting to the root of the problem in these unique towns and making our needs known is what has to be done. Jefferson and West Milford are within the Highlands Act, which many people have spoken about tonight. It protects our drinking water sources in northern New Jersey. This also regulates land use, development, and environmental conservation within the Highlands region, which is both Jefferson and West Milford, which is considered 100% in the Highlands. Jefferson and West Milford cannot be compared to other towns, as we are unique and have to be treated as such. Legislation has to see that these funding formulas continue to have a negative impact on our communities. And without a shift in these parameters, these towns will not survive. What can our community do? Send those letters to your legislators, as I have done myself. Assemblywoman Marissa Sweeney, Assemblywoman Ora Dunn, Senator Anthony Bucco, and Lily Lau, who, if I'm saying that correctly, is our newly appointed Commissioner in Education. Send them your letters. May just be one person, but if you all band together, your voices will be heard. In closing, tell me as a community member and a volunteer who apparently just can't volunteer for enough things, how I can help in these towns and help us work together, both Jefferson and West Milford, and help our voices be heard. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marina York. I am a student in the Jefferson Township School District. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I am here because the continued cuts to state aid are no longer just numbers on a sheet of paper. They are directly affecting students like me, our families, and our entire community. For the past 7 years, Jefferson has lost state aid year after year, and now we are at a breaking point. If the funding is not restored, we could lose all sports, half of our high school's extracurriculars, elective classes, and courtesy busing for students who live within 2.5 miles of the school. On top of that, elementary class size could increase by 50%. As a student, that is terrifying. School isn't just about sitting in classrooms and taking a test. For many of us, it's sport teams, clubs, music, art, and electives. They are what make us feel like we belong here. We are not asking for luxuries. We are asking for fairness, opportunity, and the ability to learn in an environment that supports us instead of stripping us down year after year. So that is why I'm here, to speak up, to protect our schools, our opportunities, and our futures. Thank you.
So my wife and I have 3 children in the district. We came to this district because of the school system as a major part of it. We have an emotional night tonight, and it should be emotional. Our town, our children's future is on the line. When I look out my back door, I actually see Cozy Lake School, so it's a reminder of what these cuts look like, a school that's probably going to remain vacant for some time because of the limitations that are out there. It would have been really easy for me to be upset at the administration, upset at the board, but I'm an engineer by trade, so I looked closely at the numbers, and there are 3 things that stood out to me. First of all, the funding gap on the cost per pupil. In this town, we pay less than the state average for every student. That's a fact. The second fact is that our property tax burden is about 40% higher than the average in the state, so we're paying more. And then the tax effort, how much as a percentage of our actual income in the town goes to the schools. And the reality is, when you compare to our urban counterparts, we are almost double. So if all that added up correctly, if we were really a wealthy town, we wouldn't be standing here tonight. We pay more as a percentage of our income, we have higher property taxes, and it costs us less per student. So it doesn't make any sense. The funding formula is not working for us. So I also have to deal with another hard truth. The reality is, although we welcome these changes to the funding formula, it's probably not going to happen very soon, maybe not at all, right? Because you got 600 plus other districts that are going to say, why not me, right? Why can't I have a change? Their funding may go down if that formula changes. I think the reality is, we've heard about it, the Highlands Act is what's driving the reality on the ground here. And I think the chance of our success is hinging on our ability to band together as a coalition of the Highlands Act. We need separate, standalone legislation that is addressing the shortfall of the Highlands Act.
So what does that mean? We could have a regional coalition. There's 50,000 voters in West Milford, Jefferson, and Vernon, the most highly impacted areas. And they can address that by saying Highlands Impact Aid now, right? So this is environmental stewardship that's really on the line. We protect the drinking water for 6 million New Jerseyans. There is a cost to be paid for the stewardship of the environment. And that cost cannot be paid on the backs of the students in Jefferson Township. So if there's any rallying cry, I'm going to say it's Highlands Impact Aid now. We need to be talking. We'll continue all of the efforts. I appreciate the efforts that have been done. I know, Superintendent Howe, that you've been out to testify, right? They're not hearing one voice. They're going to have to hear all of our voices, and we can multiply those voices if we are with our neighbors. Please help reach out to the neighbors in neighboring towns. We can say right now, towns with more than, say, 50, 60% of their town restricted by the Highlands Act should be addressed separately outside of the funding formula so that they can do that now while they work on long-term permanent fixes. Highlands Act now. Thank you, Falcon family.
Thank you again for coming this evening, and a special thanks to those who shared their perspective on the budget crisis. I encourage you to attend the budget hearings in March and April to remain current about next year's budget. Also at tonight's meeting, which starts in just a couple of minutes, there's a presentation on fiscal accountability. Mrs. Oroho-Giacchi and I are outlining the steps in developing the budget, as well as the checks and balances in place to ensure that the district's resources are properly controlled. Although we have traction in our fight like never before, there are still weeks before our state aid figures are released and months until the state budget is finalized. Those with the ability to make changes need to continue to hear from us. We need to continue to fight for fair funding. We need to remain dedicated. We need to remain vocal. We need to remain champions for our students. Thank you again for coming tonight.